In the UK, there's over 31,500 children and young people with diabetes. Like 10-year-old Oliver, the vast majority of them have type 1 diabetes. Oliver's mum Joanne struggled with his illness when he was first diagnosed aged 6.
Nobody understood what we were going through. I used to sit awake crying. We had to test him every 2 hours through the night. Nobody else knew how to look after him. We struggled for childcare. Even family members aren't confident at looking after him. Fortunately, he does brilliant himself, so that's relieved some of that pressure. And we have since met and got very close to other families, so we feel less isolated now.
Joanne was moved by the plight of the Penzi Trust, who help people in India with diabetes through funding healthcare, education and providing business startup grants.
We initially raised some money and sponsored a child, Ruchita. She's a similar age to Oliver, but unlike Oliver, she was struggling to get hold of insulin. Not just insulin, but the needles, testing strips and all the things that you need to stay healthy. Type 1 is a fatal condition if not treated, and that's the reality for many of these families in India. To me, it's not about politics, location, religion, it's about solidarity. There's other families going through what we're going through, and the outcome's very different, the future's very different for these children. We've recently lost a 6-year-old girl called Kushi. She was diagnosed age 3 and she was struggling. There were a lot of social problems in the family, and unfortunately she ended up an orphan and living with a more distant family member that didn't understand her diabetes and Western medicine. And because of the stigma in their village where she lived, unfortunately she died a few months ago. So we couldn't save that one, and all our work in future is dedicated to Kushi, to not let that happen again. It's something we're very passionate about.
Oliver manages his diabetes, but finds it hard at times.
Unfortunately, with the condition I've got, type 1, it's pretty much incurable and dangerous. So, and you really have to watch what you eat, and you can't just decide suddenly that I'm just going to have this. It takes a lot more planning and doing, and you have to, and you have to test your blood 8-9 times a day. You have to inject or fiddle around with machines 7 or 8 times a day. Sometimes it can be a little bit it can just get a little bit boring and you don't really want to do it. Sometimes when you do have it for a long time, it does get really boring. First it's fun, and sometimes it is when you're hypo in class and you get to eat sweets in class, but that isn't really what it's all about.
Joanne and her family are flying to India this weekend to meet up with some of the children they've supported, and she says she won't stop campaigning until all diabetics have insulin access. Anna Riley, That's TV.